Guys, the NFL draft is over, but this is where Brett Veach earns a lot of money. He is very good at locating undrafted rookie free agents to come in and be a part of the team, contribute as rookies, and even end up earning second contracts. Now, welcome to the Scrambling Armchair, Chiefs news, analysis, and opinion every day. So if you are not subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button for Chiefs news. We're going to go over some of the best available UDFA, and I pretty much agree with a lot of what the ESPN rankings have left. So we're kind of just going to go over their best available rankings here. Seth McLaughlin, center out of Ohio State. I think this is a guy who can start in the NFL. This is just kind of what happens to centers. 6'4", 304 pounds. I don't think he's anything special physically. You don't have to be anything special necessarily physically in order to start at center in the NFL. I don't know if he's going to be a plus center, but I do think that he is a guy who makes a roster and will be in the NFL for quite some time. Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas, got a lot of hype going as a would he be a third or fourth round pick? Ends up falling out of the draft. 5'11", 180 pounds, ran a 4.39 40-yard dash. Now, he had some drama this week, last week, very recently. I didn't really look into it. I don't know what it was all about. I don't know if there's veracity to any of it. I don't know if that's why he ended up falling out of the draft. But like it says here, Bond is an Alabama transfer who underwhelmed and missed 2 games with ankle injuries in his only season at Texas. But he still averaged 15.9 yards per catch. This is a guy that I don't think you want to have to rely on, but if you're making Isaiah Bond your wide receiver 5, I think you're pretty good. Could be a wide receiver 4, could end up being a really decent slot wide receiver in the NFL. Does have a lot of potential. I don't think he's ever going to be a wide receiver 1. Don't think he's ever going to be a wide receiver 2, and I think the NFL agrees with that. That's why you find him in the ranks of the UDFA. Logan Brown out of Kansas, 6'6", 311 pounds, has 33 7/8 arms, so he has the good length there, and a 32-inch vertical leap, so he has some explosiveness. It would take you some time. He would be a project, but I do think this is a guy who has starting right tackle stuff. Will he ever get there? Will he ever uncover it? Will he ever... look, at this point, I don't know if he even makes a roster, but I do think he does have potential. I do think that he is a guy that in my book was probably a 5th-round pick somewhere in there. I think that he could, in the first couple years in the league, he could be one of these guys who ends up being a swing tackle and gets starts due to injury and things like that. But I think that he can eventually be a guy that works his way into being a starting level kind of right tackle in the NFL. I think he has that stuff. Tommy Hill out of Nebraska is an interesting case. He's a cornerback who's 6'1", 213 pounds. He ran a 4.55 40. That is not what you want to see. Hill is a relatively inexperienced, bouncing between corner and receiver early in his career before missing 6 games in 2024 with a foot injury. He didn't run at the combine either, but he's a big corner with an intriguing skill set. I think that he's a safety. I think if you want to take a couple years and see if you can develop him as a safety, he can stick on your roster. I think that he could be a good special teams guy until then, right? So you might be able to sign him off the street and have an immediate player on your roster. Joe Huber out of Wisconsin, he has only 32-inch arms. That's why he finds himself here. But it's 6'5", 310 pounds. The rest of his testing looked pretty good. Is he? I think he's an offensive guard, right? They say here Huber latches on and flashes the ability to move defenders off the ball. He washes defenders down the line and is smooth working up to the second level as a zone blocker. He moves well when he pulls. He's quick and moves his feet well as a pass blocker. So I think this is you're looking at a zone blocking offensive lineman here. He's not a road grader, but he's someone who gets in the way and moves people fairly effectively. He's an NFL guy, I think. So someone's going to get an NFL guard on their roster there. CJ Dupree out of Alabama is an interesting type of guy. I don't know that the Chiefs would have anything to do with him. It's just interesting to see him there. Zy Alexander might be one of these guys that Veach brings in because, well, he only drafted one defensive back in this class, so he's going to want more. That's what Brett Veach does. He collects defensive backs. There's a few here, and there's a couple more left on this list that I will go over. Jared Ivey. Now, Jared Ivey, 6'6", 274 pounds, looked the part of an NFL player in college. Why did he go undrafted? He ran a disastrous 5.09 40-yard dash. I think that just raises some questions for a guy that big. But if you're Brett Veach and company, I say you bring him in and you see if he has that versatility that they like along the defensive line. I would not have been opposed to the Kansas City Chiefs having drafted Jared Ivey despite the 40-yard dash time, because he does present a lot of problems for offensive linemen. He's a big guy. He's able to move, I think. Let's see what he really did in all of his testing. I don't know exactly what the rest of his testing looked like. So bringing up Jared Ivey, Ole Miss. What do we have here? We have hands 9 1/8 inch. That's not great either. Arms 33.5. That's decent. 23 reps on the bench press. You like to see more than that from a guy who weighs 245 pounds or 275 pounds and only has 33.5 inch arms. But look, some people are just producers. They're not test guys. They're not workout warriors. They're just guys who can get on the field and look, this right here. This is the thing. Devastating initial punch with heavy hands, consistently jolts offensive tackles backwards, showcasing elite power at the point of attack that was particularly evident against Alabama's tackles. So if you can get him on the roster, I say you go for it. Just let him be who he is. Don't worry about the testing. Look what they say here. Ivey is long and strong enough to attack offensive tackles and overpower tight ends while setting the edge against the run. Get him in. Let him learn under Charles Omenihu. Let him be on this defensive line. Just get him in the building somehow, Brett Veach. I don't care how you do it. The next guy up here for me is Bru McCoy. Bru McCoy with a 4.50 40-yard dash, 6'3", 209 pounds. McCoy didn't put up big numbers in college and didn't run at the combine, but he warrants consideration based off of his tape. He has a good frame and good length. He freezes defenders when he gets his head snapped around at the top of his routes. He has big hands to catch passes away from his body, I think 10-inch hands, and above his head. McCoy can make the first defender miss, and he's a tough runner who can break tackles after the catch. He can get off press coverage, tracks the ball well deep, and runs good routes to threaten defenses vertically. This is a guy that I think is an NFL player. I don't really know why he fell through the draft. I know why he wasn't drafted high. Not, again, like they said there, not a whole lot of grade A level production at the college level, but this is a physical specimen of a guy that you would like to bring in and just see what he can do. Now that he's free, right, you're signing him as a UDFA. It doesn't cost you a draft pick. You don't have to trade for him. Not going to cost a whole big contract. Brett Veach, just go out and do it. See what he brings in. 6'3", 209, decent speed there. Kobe Bryant, out of Kansas, 6 foot tall, 180 pounds. The blurb on him: Bryant picked off 13 passes and had 35 passes defended in 4 seasons at Kansas. His arms are long. I think he's 32-inch arms. long enough to break up passes, and he shows good timing. He plays through the hands when he sees the receiver extend. He reads the quarterback and hunts the ball as soon as it's in the air in zone looks. Bryant plays with an edge and has a good game. He fights to get off blocks and is quick when defending the run. He is a guy who plays with a chip on his shoulder. That is a Steve Spagnuolo special, and it would be great, I think, to bring him in and see if he can make that roster. The Chiefs have an incredibly deep bench at cornerback right now. Their top 4 guys all have I think cornerback 1 or 2 potential, depending on which one you're talking about. And then you get down to Joshua Williams and Najee Johnson, both of whom have started for the Kansas City Chiefs. So if you can bring in a Kobe Bryant of the world and end up with 7 guys who are NFL. I think Kobe Bryant's an NFL player. I really do think he is. He's a little undersized at 180, but I think he is an NFL player. You bring him in, if you can have 7 NFL cornerbacks not make the roster, but be on the roster. I don't know what Kobe Bryant did testing-wise, but I don't really care, especially if you're bringing in a guy that is going to be like a 5th corner for you. What does he have here? 9 1/4 inch hands, 31 1/4 inch arms, 4.53 40-yard dash at the combine with a 1.56 split. So yeah, nothing to write home about there, but let's see if they talk about his nastiness down here. Elite ball production, nasty competitor. There it is. Nasty competitor who plays with visible swagger and doesn't back down from larger receivers despite his thin frame. Brings legitimate dog to every snap. Excellent zone coverage skills where he reads route combinations and quarterback eyes with veteran-level anticipation, often baiting throws he can disrupt. He's an NFL player, in my opinion. He's going to stick on a roster and be impossible to cut. The defensive coordinators are just going to fall in love with him. This is a big red flag here. Xavier Restrepo. So Xavier Restrepo seemed to be a deep threat in college. 5'10", 209, seemed like he was a fast guy running by people, ran a 4.8 40-yard dash. So look, he's free. Doesn't cost you a draft pick, doesn't cost you a trade. You don't have to invest anything in it. You can cut him before camp and not pay anything against the salary cap. It's a big red flag, but I say he showed enough in college that you just bring him in as a UDFA and see what's there. Brandon Crenshaw Dixon out of Florida, 6'7", 316. Interesting prospect. I think that he does have NFL potential. I don't know that he's ever going to start. I don't know that he's ever even going to be a swing tackle. But look, doesn't cost you anything. Bring him in, see what's there. What other wide receivers are there? Yeah, Isaiah Nayor from Nebraska, 6'4", 218. He was getting some hype around, I think it was the mid-season point. Nick Nash, Patty Whack, 6'3", 203. Nash is only the 4th player in FBS history to lead the country in touchdowns, 16, receptions, 104, and yards, 1,382. So you're looking at a guy with production, but a 4.57 second 40-yard dash. But again, free. Bring him in. See what's going on. Daquan Felton is an interesting guy, 6'5", 213 pounds. Patrick Mahomes has never had that type of wide receiver. Theo Wease. I like Theo Wease, 6'3", 200 pounds. Did not have a good 40-yard dash, but I think that he's a guy that can produce. And if it doesn't cost you anything, go for it. Speaking of Mizzou, let's see if he is on here. He is not. Maybe I'll save that for later. Cornerbacks, Brett Veach is going to bring somebody in. Fentrell Cypress is an interesting guy. 6 foot tall, 188 pounds, showed some moxie in college, broke up 27 passes over the course of a college career. I think he's worth bringing in and taking a look at, seeing what you have there. The Chiefs are going to bring in no shortage of UDFA. You can be sure of that. And somebody among that group will make the team. Who that is, I don't know right now. We will start seeing reports roll in within a couple of hours, and I will be back with all of those reports, probably a big video on the UDFA class, and then individual videos for the guys that I think will make the roster. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.